time and see the outcome of this. Then my house was hit.
Before George Pal created cinema's most influential time travel masterpiece,
when was the first time you actually saw the Time Machine movie, the 1960 movie?
I saw it first run in August of 1960 when it hit.
The Time Machine was dismissed as unfilmable and too philosophical by studios who couldn't understand how Victorian novel about humanity's evolutionary decline could become thrilling adventure.
This is only a small experimental model, of course. To carry a man, a larger edition is needed.
The cast has finally revealed secrets that will transform your understanding of the film that won the Oscar for groundbreaking effects while hiding H.G. Wells' darkest warnings about class warfare and humanity's self-destruction beneath the colorful sci-fi spectacle.
Somebody else's movies. Like we've known each other for 20 years.
The H.G. Wells vision that almost got lost. What most fans don't realize is that the Time Machine was George Pal's passion project to adapt Wells's socialist critique of Victorian class structure. But studio pressure forced compromises that softened the novel's radical politics. The decision to maintain the story's philosophical core while adding romantic elements created tension between Wells's pessimistic social commentary and Hollywood's need for hope and heroism.
Let us imagine that this cigar is the time traveler.
Rod Taylor revealed years later his understanding of the story's deeper themes. George explained that Wells wrote the book as warning about how class divisions would destroy humanity. The Aloy and Morlocks weren't just future species, they were evolutionary result of the rich and poor becoming so separate they literally evolved into different beings. The cannibalistic relationship where beautiful Aloy are livestock for underground Morlocks was Wells's vision of capitalism's endpoint. George Pal disclosed his struggle to maintain Wells's social commentary. The studio wanted romantic adventure without the socialist politics. They said American audiences wouldn't accept film criticizing capitalism and class structure. I fought to preserve Wells' warning that social inequality leads to humanity's extinction, but had to add hope and romance that Wells never intended. The philosophical depth survived but was buried beneath adventure elements. Yvette Mimieux noted how her character Weena was expanded from Wells' original. In the book, Weena is a childlike creature who barely speaks. George made her romantic interest who could connect with George emotionally. That change made the film more accessible, but shifted focus from Wells' social criticism to personal love story. The romance humanized the Aloy, but softened their depiction as livestock for the Morlocks. The Time Machine design that became iconic. The Victorian Time Machine wasn't just impressive prop, it was production designer Bill Ferrari's masterpiece that became cinema's most recognizable time travel device. What the cast revealed about working with this practical creation shows how the ornate Victorian aesthetic combined with rotating disc effects created timeless design that defined how audiences visualized time travel for generations. The decision to make the machine elaborate Victorian contraption rather than sleek futuristic device grounded the fantasy in period authenticity. Bill Ferrari designed the machine to look like it could actually have been built in 1899 using Victorian technology and aesthetics, disclosed production designer. The brass fittings, leather seat, and crystal disc weren't just decorative. They suggested genuine Victorian scientific instrument rather than impossible magic. The steampunk aesthetic made time travel feel plausible. Rod Taylor revealed the technical challenges of filming time travel sequences. The rotating disc behind me created hypnotic effect while the practical props around me, the flowers wilting, the candle burning down, showed time passing. George Pal used stop-motion photography to show seasonal changes and buildings rising and falling while I sat motionless in the machine. The combination of practical effects and photography created convincing time travel without any CGI or modern technology. The machine's elaborate control mechanism with its single lever created instantly recognizable interface. The simple lever that controlled movement through time became iconic image, noted the cast. The mechanical simplicity, push forward to go into the future, pull back to return, made time travel comprehensible to audiences. The tactile mechanical nature of the controls made the impossible seem achievable. Alan Young disclosed that the machine required constant maintenance during filming. The rotating disc mechanism kept breaking down because it had to spin for hours during time-lapse sequences. The brass fittings tarnished under the lights and had to be polished constantly. The machine was beautiful but temperamental, which created production delays. The practical nature meant we were hostage to Victorian technology, actually working rather than just looking good. The special effects that won the Oscar. The film's time-lapse photography showing decades passing in seconds wasn't just technical achievement, it was Oscar-winning innovation that influenced how cinema depicted time travel. What the effects team revealed about creating these sequences shows how George Pal pioneered stop-motion techniques that made the passage of time visible and visceral. The decision to show time passing through environmental changes rather than digital effects created poetry in the montages. We filmed the same location repeatedly over hours, moving the sun's position, changing seasons and showing buildings rising and falling through, frame-by-frame photography, disclosed effects supervisor. The mannequin in the store window, aging and changing fashions, became the film's most memorable time travel sequence, showing cultural evolution through clothing styles rather than abstract concepts. The gradual acceleration of time creating blur and motion established visual language for temporal movement. As George pushes the lever forward, time accelerates and the world around him becomes blur of motion, noted the cinematographers. We created that effect through variable speed photography and dissolves that made solid objects seem to flow like liquid. The visual metaphor of the world melting into blur as time accelerates became standard depiction of time travel. The film's Oscar win for Best Effects validated the practical approach over miniatures and matte paintings. We won the Academy Award for effects that were primarily photography rather than physical construction, revealed the effects team. The recognition proved that innovative camera work and editing could create spectacle as impressive as elaborate models or sets. The time-lapse sequences influenced countless subsequent time travel films. The Morlocks that terrified a generation. The underground Morlocks weren't just monsters. They were disturbing vision of devolved humanity that traumatized children while embodying Wells' fears about the working class becoming literally subhuman. What the cast revealed about these creatures shows how the grotesque design and horrifying behavior made them unforgettable villains while representing the darkest possible outcome of social inequality. The decision to make Morlocks recognizably humanoid rather than completely alien emphasized that they were humanity's descendants. The Morlocks had human features distorted by underground evolution, disclosed makeup designer. The white hair, enlarged eyes adapted to darkness, and hunched posture suggested generations of light-deprived existence. But the human elements remained visible, which made them more disturbing than completely alien creatures would have been. The Morlocks' cannibalistic relationship with the Aloy created genuine horror in family film. The revelation that beautiful Aloy were being bred as food for underground Morlocks was shocking for 1960 audiences, noted Rod Taylor. The film showed human beings raising other human beings as livestock. That horror transcended typical monster movie scares because it suggested humanity could evolve into predator-prey relationship with itself. The Morlocks' sensitivity to light creating their primary vulnerability added mythological dimension. Like vampires, the Morlocks couldn't tolerate light and fled from fire, revealed George Pal. That weakness made them defeatable but also sympathetic. They were trapped underground by environmental adaptation. The film suggested they were victims of evolution as much as the Eloi were. The nuclear war sequence that reflected Cold War terror. The film's depiction of nuclear apocalypse destroying civilization wasn't just science fiction speculation, it was direct reflection of 1960 Cold War anxieties. What the cast revealed about this sequence shows how George Pal used Wells's story to explore contemporary fears about humanity destroying itself through nuclear weapons. The decision to show multiple world wars leading to atomic devastation added urgency Wells's original lacked. Wells couldn't have predicted nuclear weapons, but George updated the story to include atom bombs destroying civilization, disclosed the writers. The sequence where George watches nuclear war erupt while sitting in his time machine became the film's most powerful moment, showing humanity's self-destruction as an inevitable result of progress and conflict. The bombing sequence's practical effects created visceral destruction that felt disturbingly realistic. "We used miniatures and controlled explosions to show London being obliterated," revealed the effects team. The mushroom clouds and collapsing buildings reflected actual nuclear test footage audiences had seen in newsreels. The familiarity made the destruction feel possible rather than fantastical. Rod Taylor revealed how the nuclear sequence reflected his own Cold War fears. Everyone in 1960 believed nuclear war was likely or inevitable. The duck and cover drills, the backyard bomb shelters, the constant tension. We were living with genuine fear of atomic annihilation. George's sequence showing civilization destroyed by nukes wasn't science fiction speculation. It felt like prophecy or documentary about our near future. The romantic ending that betrayed Wells. The film's conclusion, where George returns to save Weena and the Eloy, wasn't in Wells' novel. It was Hollywood edition that fundamentally changed the story's message. What Rod Taylor revealed about this alteration shows how the hopeful ending contradicted Wells' pessimistic philosophy that humanity's fate was sealed by its own nature and choices. The decision to have George return to the future, with books to rebuild civilization, created optimistic resolution Wells never intended. In the novel, the time traveler disappears and is presumably dead, disclosed screenwriter David Duncan. "We couldn't end the film that way. Audiences needed hope." George returning with books to educate the Eloy and fight the Morlocks suggested one person could change history's course. That contradicted Wells' deterministic view that social evolution was inevitable. The romance between George and Weena, providing motivation for his return, added emotional stakes. Wells' time traveler had intellectual curiosity but no emotional attachment to the future, noted George Powell. "We needed romantic love to justify George risking everything to return." The love story made it personal rather than just philosophical exercise about humanity's fate. Rod Taylor revealed his own preference for Wells's darker ending. "I understood why we needed the hopeful conclusion for audiences, but Wells's ambiguous ending was more powerful. The suggestion that the time traveler was lost in time forever, that nothing he learned mattered because he couldn't warn anyone, had tragic weight. Our ending suggested problems were solvable through individual action, which was more comforting but less honest. The legacy that defined time travel cinema. The time machine's influence on subsequent time travel narratives exceeded its commercial success. What George Powell revealed about the film's lasting impact shows how it established visual and narrative templates for depicting temporal displacement while proving H.G. Wells's social commentary could work as thrilling entertainment. The film's time machine design became the definitive visual representation of temporal travel devices. Every subsequent movie or TV show depicting Victorian-era time travel references our design, disclosed production designers. The rotating disc, the brass controls, the leather seat. Those elements became shorthand for time travel that audiences instantly recognized. Even modern steampunk aesthetics owe debt to Bill Ferrari's original design. The time-lapse photography technique for showing time passing influenced decades of filmmaking. The visual language we created, showing seasons changing, buildings rising and falling, fashions evolving, became standard way to depict time travel, noted cinematographers. Films from Back to the Future to modern time travel movies use variations on the techniques we pioneered, showing temporal movement through environmental changes. Watch the film again with appreciation for its Oscar-winning effects, its hidden social commentary, and its influence on how cinema depicts time travel. Notice how the Eloy paradise masks dystopian horror, and how the nuclear war sequence reflects Cold War fears that remain relevant in any age facing existential threats. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into classic science fiction that combine spectacular effects with serious philosophical warnings. Hit that notification bell so you never miss our latest uploads, and let us know in the comments which 3 books you would take to rebuild civilization. Which 3 books would you choose?